A happy Zoom Shana to all of you. In 1974, longtime congregant and granddaughter of one of the founding congregants of Temple Emanuel, Marjorie Hornbein of blessed memory, gave a gift to our congregation. She penned a history of the first 100 years of Temple Emanuel, from 1874 to 1974. While it may not have made the Amazon top 10 list, for those of us who have a special place in our hearts for this amazing synagogue, it might as well have been a New York Times bestseller. It recalled the clergy and educators, lay leaders and administrators that built this community. It described the different buildings where we've called home, educated us on how we relocated our cemetery from Cheeseman Park to Fairmount, and of course explained the background to our jewel on Mount Evans, Schwader Camp. But it also described many of the struggles this congregation faced over its initial 100 years. And believe me, there were many. However, time and again, the Temple community was united to ensure this sacred community survived. From 1874 to 1974, the United States faced many financial hardships, 2 world wars, and even international pandemics. But we made it through the tough times because the past generations willed it. They refused to allow Temple to fail. Ms. Hornbein's history says a lot about how the earlier generations are remembered. They were committed to each other and to this place. And now, 47 years later, the question is, if volume 2 of our history was written, what would it tell future generations about us? How we persevered? Will our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren read volume 2 and say, wow, they really worked hard during the coronavirus shutdown to keep this place strong for future generations? Or will the future generations say that we threw up our hands and said, forget it, I don't really need this place? I am confident, based on knowing so many of you who love Temple Emanuel as much as I do, that volume 2 will say the former, that our generation persevered during this struggle, and nothing would shake our commitment to Temple Emanuel. We would not be shaken by a surge in anti-Semitism from the extreme right or the radical left. We would not be daunted by attacks on Israel from all directions. We would withstand the divisive political climate that has not only divided this country, but even driven wedges between friends and family members here at Temple. And we would certainly not become irrelevant due to COVID-19. You don't get to be 147 years old without learning from the past and gaining perspective from it. You don't get to be 147 years old by throwing up your hands at the first sign of problems, and you don't get to be 147 years old without a solid foundation of love, patience, tradition, and commitment. I'm glad to say that Temple Emanuel has weathered the initial COVID-19 storm. Our clergy and professional staff went to work immediately creating new and engaging religious services and educational opportunities in a Zoom reality that had never been done before. Think about that. This was uncharted territory from both a religious as well as a technological perspective. Has it been perfect and everything we ever dreamed of? Of course not. But it has allowed our community to keep connected, and that is the most important thing. Because our community is more than this physical space. It's about the people and caring for one another. That's why we on the Board of Trustees made it a point to reach out to our older members when the pandemic struck, to let them know that they were not alone. And if they needed anything, we were there for them then, and we are here for all of you now. This is what a loving and holy community does for each other. Many of you have asked me, when will we be together again in person? My short answer is, I don't exactly know. We don't have a specific timeline because we don't know what the fall and winter will bring. And yes, I know some churches, synagogues, and other institutions are opening, and that's fine, but it doesn't mean it's right for us. I promise to all of you that our reopening task force, chaired by Gary Wagner, is actively strategizing and evaluating safety on a regular basis. And when we can do some in-person activities, we will. And when our clergy and professional staff, the people who are literally the most at risk by reopening the synagogue, believe it is safe for them, their families, and the membership to be together in person, then we will. It will be okay. So here are a few positive notes to take with you this Rosh Hashanah. Temple is surviving. Schwader Camp, through Jody Abrams' leadership and the amazing work of the Capital Campaign Chairman Michael Steinberg and David Foster, is almost done with the construction. And let me tell you, it looks great. 2021 will be a fantastic summer. The Rabbi Stephen E. Foster Early Learning Center, led by Susan Warchow, is open for business and taking care of our young children safely and professionally. Our new Director of Youth and Family Learning, Brad Cohen, is here and working long hours to provide exceptional religious education to our children and families. The Emanuel Cemetery at Fairmount is growing in size as we begin to design our new acreage at Fairmount in an ecologically thoughtful way. We continue to focus on dealing with water issues at Emanuel Cemetery, and I promise all of you that have voiced concerns that you are heard, and we are working hard to address problem areas. But we should all pray for lots of snow and precipitation over the next 6 months. Financially, we are doing good, but we could definitely do better. Thanks to a generous $200,000 matching gift from the Reynolds Family Foundation, we hope to shore up all our financial losses from the coronavirus pandemic. And I am proud to say that many of you have already donated to the Together We Rise campaign, and we have raised almost $190,000 of that match. I'd love to see all of you join the Board of Trustees and other members who have already given and fill out your pledges you were mailed, or go to emmanueldenver.org/togetherwerise and make a donation. The more we raise, the more we can continue to be there for all of you. And as for Volume 2 of the Temple history, I was being sincere. We are drafting a Volume 2 of Temple's history from 1974 to 2024, as well as filming a full historical documentary, which will be done just in time for our 150th anniversary. I'm thrilled that Sharon Elfenbein and Donald Yale have agreed to co-chair this impressive project. And if any of you wish to participate, give historical accounts, donate time or resources to the project, or loan us some Temple memorabilia, we would love it. This is a full congregation project, so we welcome all of your help. Please feel free to email me at danny@foster.legal, and I will coordinate. I'd like to thank our clergy, Rabbi Black, Cantor Sachs, Rabbi Hyatt, Steve Brodsky, Rabbi Foster, and Cantor Haidt, for their spiritual leadership during these complicated times. I'd like to thank Steve Stark, our executive director, and the entire Temple staff for your incredible work keeping things running smoothly despite the unprecedented pressures we've experienced. I'd also like to thank former Presidents Connell Saltzman, Ellen Abrams, and Mark Eidelberg for your invaluable advice as I started my presidential journey. Finally, I'd like to thank our members who have been on the front lines during this pandemic, the doctors, nurses, police officers, teachers, restaurant and store workers, all of you. Thank you for all you do for our global community. We are forever in your debt. So when Volume 2 is written about our synagogue, what will it say about us now, at this place in time? I think it will say we maintained, we persevered, and we came together, even in a virtual sense, to keep our religious home strong. And I know we will pray, learn, celebrate, and laugh together again in person. After all, keeping a positive perspective and a sense of humor helps. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, my wife Becky, and my children Rex, Lucy, and Ozzy, we'd like to wish you all a very happy New Year.